Please remember to subscribe, click like, and click the bell icon for all notifications on this channel. Macho Man Randy Savage and Elizabeth. Some say they were a match made in heaven. And in this first episode of Dark Side of the Ring, I'm a little late to the party, I know. It debuted last year, but got really interested in it when I watched the Chris Benoit two-parter that opened the second season. So I'm going to be doing this every week. Every past midnight Tuesday, I'm going to be posting my videos regards to this series. And A Match Made in Heaven is the name of this first episode of the first season. And it's about Elizabeth and the Macho Man. And they are two of the very best who has ever done it. Managerial side with Elizabeth and wrestler side with the Macho Man. And I'm going to talk about my thoughts about this first episode and how I felt about Elizabeth and the Macho Man. This first episode really took me back to a time where wrestling was so great. Storytelling, the relationships, the characters, the looks, the style, you know. And when I saw this first episode, it was like, yeah, one of the best storylines, one of the best in ring and out of the ring and in real life, story. You know, Macho Man and Elizabeth were married in real life. 7 years, nobody knew. Then they had the whole marriage, at SummerSlam, right? And everybody fell for it. Everybody loved these two. Even Macho Man, they loved to hate him. What he was doing to Elizabeth in the ring, always browbeating her, putting her in the corner. You stand there, right? And everybody wanted Elizabeth to be happy. There was even a time when he was in a feud with George the Animal Steel, and George Steele was accompanied to the ring by Elizabeth during the time when she was kind of split from him, kind of tired of being with him, which would actually happen in real life. Pretty controlling, a guy who I'm sure loved Elizabeth, but really didn't trust her around the wrestlers, around people in the business with their antics, crapping in people's bags and all the drunken and drug behavior and all that, which was prevalent during the heyday and the height of Macho Man and Elizabeth's time in the WWE. Even when he went to WCW, they were together. He brought her along and they were already separated, they were already divorced, but he's like, I want you to come here so that, you know, we can I can take care of you. It was there, of course, that she met Lex Luger, and we all know what happened. With that, you know, they were popping pills and drinking alcohol, and you know, which was what led to her death. Then everybody heard the 911 call from Lex Luger trying to save Elizabeth's life, and to no avail, and she passed away at 42. The episode starts from their early days. He was a top star in his dad's own promotion, which was like a mom and pop type of a promotion. They ran it. They're the ones that did everything. Elizabeth came in and she was like pretty much you know, she just did everything. She was a secretary. She was handling like she was doing. I believe she was doing interviews and she was doing all these type of stuff, ring announcing. She was doing. And Macho Man met her and they fell for each other and he followed her as she followed him as he went to WWE, WCW, and in the end, especially when after she passed away, the Macho Man was like, very, very sad that she died. He felt sad for the family, and you know, so there was definitely still some love there. And of course there was, the Macho Man was just a little bit too controlling and a little bit too aggressive. And, you know, who knows if there's like roid rage or whatever, you know what I mean? But it's, I don't think it's ever been brought up. And I don't know if that ever was a problem. I mean, he had a heart attack while driving, and that's what led to him driving into a tree and dying, So who knows? But so I really enjoyed this, this episode. It's a really good opener for this series. It really, I can understand why they went into to a second season, and I'm seeing all of the titles of every show, and I'm really gonna check out all these shows, and every week, like I said in the opening, I'm going to post it up. To post up every Tuesday, like I said, and like I said, of course, you went to WWE first after being in his father's promotion. I believe he was in other promotions as well. And he gets into these like feuds right away, like with Ricky Steamboat and Jake the Snake, especially with that 14-foot King Cobra. It was devenomized, the it's all taken out of him, and he still wasn't sure. Telling Jake, okay, I want it to bite you. So you get bitten first, and then I'll get bit. And then, Jake does it, and Jake's pissed at it, And then I loved when he said this, and heard this in interviews too. I think, yeah, it was on Joe Rogan, and he's like saying that how he turned around and he was facing the snake, and he, slapped the crap out of it, pissed it off. So every time you look at the snake was like pissed. So when he put it towards Macho and then latched onto his arm, and I remember seeing that and wondering if that was real. Like, how could he let a snake? That snake's poison. It can't be, real. This is before I knew that wrestling was, as they say, what's that word they say? Yeah, it was real. Like, I didn't know that. I mean, not real, but I didn't know it was scripted and all that stuff. And it was, but that right there was definitely not fake. He got bit by that snake, and he couldn't take it off. It took him a long time to take it off. He did Vince McMahon sent Elizabeth out there to get the snake off of him. I don't know why he did that one. She's not gonna have any control over the snake, and she ran out of there. She ran out there to make sure he was okay, and then Jake finally pulled the cobra the off of what do you call it, Macho, and I don't, I don't care. It must have hurt like a mother, because it's like I got bit by a garter snake, and that hurt like hell. So imagine a king cobra who's like a damn pit bull, where they lock on, they got them jaws are so strong. The pit bull, like I'm pretty sure that's how a cobra is. It took a long time to get him off him, but that was one of his feuds, and that's definitely one of the feuds that I loved when it came to Macho Man, and it was him and Jake, and then of course they're talking about his match with you know Ricky Steamboat, which was just a passing thing because they were just going through over his matches and the stuff that he did, and one of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history, WrestleMania 3. They showed a clip of him WrestleMania 4 winning the WWE title when they had that tournament that pretty much was the entire WrestleMania. Then after that, he leaves because he didn't want to be a color commentator, and McMahon making a mistake of saying that you're washed up, you're too old, going to make you a color commentator. He didn't want that, and he went to WCW, and he became a WCW champion, and he had pretty okay run. At least they kind of took him seriously, and they wanted the Macho Man. They didn't want to make him a commentator or thing because Macho Man, he wasn't that old. It's just like. But I think that when the Macho Man, before he left WWE, which was WWF at the time, we had Shawn Michaels and some of these guys coming in, which was like the new era. So, that's definitely the reason why. I would have loved to have seen, Shawn Michaels and the Macho Man. in a like a rivalry or feud. I'm sure they probably wrestled each other before Macho Man left. I don't recall a match because I mean maybe they did it at live shows. I don't recall seeing a match on Saturday Night's Main Event or Shotgun Saturday Night or Superstars and stuff like that. But in WCW, he was in the NWO. He was the one that was kind of the catalyst, right, to launch the NWO because Hulk turned on him. And then you see later on down the road, Macho is shadowing Hulk, and he's a member of the NWO. It's just like when it comes to wrestling, anything happens, anything can go, right? And then, like I said before earlier, then they went into the whole thing of their tumultuous relationship, and and then how Elizabeth fell in love with Lex Luger when she went to WCW, and then the situation that happened with her at the end of her life, where she overdosed on drugs, or either that, or she just took too many drugs and she went to sleep, but she was drinking whiskey too, and probably just died in her sleep, you know, or passed out. Who knows? So, I mean, it definitely is the drugs, and it's definitely the pills that she was popping and the alcohol. And I believe it was an overdose, but the way they showed it in there was like she just passed out, and then that was it. She couldn't be revived. But everybody's going to not forget that tragic period of her life before she passed, but people are always going to remember the Macho Man and Elizabeth and their storyline and the way they introduced her. I loved it, right? Because remember, it was Fuji and it was Bobby the Brain, Oliver Humperdinck, Dr. Styles Slick, and they were battling over arguing over who's going to be the manager for the Macho Man. Macho Man was like, he's always talking about he wants a manager, and he's getting interviewed by these guys week to week, and all these managers are saying why they should be the manager, and then Macho Man's like, well, here's my new manager, and then in comes Elizabeth. First time anybody ever seen her, and everybody's just like, whoa. Remember how much about Vince McMahon was just in love with her and always just fawning over her, right? And little did we know that they were married, but he never said that on air. And then at SummerSlam, when the Macho Man and Elizabeth got married, and this was after a previous pay per view or sometime before, where she came to his aid because Queen Sherry, which whom they put them together, and they made Macho Man the king because he won the King of the Ring tournament. Uh, Elizabeth comes down after he loses because it was a retirement match. He loses, and then she comes down. Elizabeth does, and she throws Sherry out the ring, and then he's like looking around, like, what's going on, and everybody's, and even I was at home going, come on, get back together, and then they embrace, and then later on he proposes marriage to her, and then they had their wedding at SummerSlam. He was in that match with Undertaker. I mean, Undertaker with the Ultimate Warrior. It was a retirement match for the Macho Man. If the Macho Man was going to lose, he would retire. And just great moments in Macho's history, man. With Elizabeth, it was just magic, man. It was just gold. I don't see any. You have these, great. You have these storylines with these two characters on wrestling falling in love and having a thing, but it's always a passing thing, or it's always just for ratings. I don't think it was ever like that for the Macho Man. It was organic for him and Elizabeth. It was like something that they they were together, and they knew they got ratings like that just because of the likability of Elizabeth and the complete hatred for the Macho Man because he just kept browbeating her, telling her where to go, what to say, when not to talk. Why are you talking? There's that one clip they showed in there where he said something to Elizabeth. She goes, "You're right, You're right, Mandy," or something like that, or "Well, you're right, Macho." And he's like, "Keep polishing my belt." She's polishing the belt, like that. So it was a good dynamic of why we loved them as a couple. And then that one moment, like I said, when they got together again, it was like everybody rejoiced. It was so fun. It was just so much of an incredible moment. It was great, and I don't see anything like that. People root for Otis and Mandy, in the WWE on SmackDown, because it's fun. It's great. It's a thing of the ultimate, thing where this guy named Otis, why would he end up with a girl like Mandy? Mandy would, but it's never like organic or realistic. When it comes to like the Macho Man and Elizabeth, it was like we felt like it was real. Despite the fact that it was a tumultuous relationship outside the ring, but inside they made it work. It made it look like they loved each other, and in an essence, they did. In effect, they did. They had respect for each other, like the Macho Man said. Even after the narrator said, even after they were divorced and everything, they still had that love and respect for each other. But at the time, they're showing that they, love each other again, and they got married. But it was a really tough, tumultuous relationship outside the ring, and we got to see people like Linda Hogan, who was friends with Elizabeth, close friends with Elizabeth actually, and Terry Bollea, as Hulk Hogan, was good friends with both Elizabeth and the Macho Man. They actually hung out. They actually hung out, did barbecues and all that stuff together. You know, but that was a really good episode. I enjoyed it very much, and like I said, despite the sad ending, and that no longer are they among us. They are gone now. But like the narrator said, they leave behind a legacy of just, their love and their characters and the storylines and everything that, you know, we loved about the Macho Man Elizabeth will always go on. And we can always watch old footage and videos and all that and relive it. I mean, I don't know if WWE has ever thought about releasing a retrospective of their time in WWE and how it evolved from them just being manager and wrestler onto being a married couple on air and like that, because it's great. It's really a great story, a love story, and we should see more of in WWE like that, where it's organic and it's natural, not forced. You know, but that's my video on the dark side of the ring, a match made in heaven, and well, that's my video. And for those of you who stopped by and checked it out, I appreciate it. If you haven't subbed yet, please do so. I would appreciate it. Also, click the bell icon so you'll be notified whenever I upload a video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, however. Well, that's that. And in closing, and as always, take care.